Okay, so hopefully, well, welcome back first of all. Hopefully this time the balance is a little bit better. Basically, I just wanted to hop in and do a little random stream. So this will be uploaded as usual to my YouTube channel. But I wanted to do a little random stream just because I have the time. So we're just going to go through apartment world today and talk about a few things. So last time we were surveying the apartment. So some more typically bad stuff had happened to poor old Henry. And we've got over here, we've got someone pointing directly at your neighbor Eileen's apartment. And I haven't been doing it very much this playthrough, but a common thing to do for a lot of players is to come in here and generally be really, really creepy. Partially, I think, because they think that people in general, myself included, think that any and all interaction with a game, any interaction that the game affords you, is naturally going to progress the story. So you do keep checking in there, sort of out of instinct more than anything, really. But we're just going to do apartment world today, I think. Keep it simple, keep it short, so that we're not too far ahead for the scheduled stream tomorrow. So we're just going to put some stuff away because we don't really need all this right now. And we don't need any of these weapons anymore except the axe. And yes, we'll keep the pistol, I think. And we'll also keep the sword on us. The sword's going to be really helpful later in the game. But it can be a little helpful now too. And one other thing I think I didn't point out last time. I got this photo from Sunderland. He uses room 105 as the superintendent's room. This Sunderland is the superintendent, of course, and same surname as James Sunderland, protagonist of Silent Hill 2. So that's a really cool little callback there. And you'll notice, blood. It's stained with blood. It's not what we like to see. Just like that water-filled room under the cylindrical prison. So this has appeared. So you'll notice that the room starts to change shape and appearance in relation to a lot of the stuff that we're seeing. So this is one of those moments. And I can't remember if it happens now. We'll see. So this is the little laundry room. No, it hasn't happened yet. No, we just got this little tiny laundry room. And there's a tank filled with oil there. So could come in handy later. Subtle foreshadowing. Alright, so we're going to go in the hole here. Doesn't look like a human made the hole, so it's very clearly getting bigger and rounder. And I think I've seen this pattern before. What pattern's he talking about? He's talking about this pattern around the edge here. Now, if you've ever played a Silent Hill game before, this halo of the sun will be very, very familiar. So we're going to go back in. We're going to go in. I really like how the loading screens themselves are really just these horribly claustrophobic affairs. And once again, we're going to wake up in a really terrible looking place. Walter slightly walking on air there.
It looks like my apartment. What the hell is this?
And once again, Henry is just incredibly subdued. Really just does not seem to care about what's going on. And if you didn't catch it last time, I'm hoping the sound's a bit louder this time. You'll be able to... It's exactly the same sound effect every time, which does get pretty annoying. We're going to start in room 301. I'm going to try to take it a bit slower this time because we really need some more stuff. I've been sort of foregoing a lot of the stuff I should have been picking up, to be honest. I missed a couple of cool little Easter eggs as well, like the stun gun. But the last few months, Joseph The guy next door to me who gave me that rare porn magazine looks like he's been working super hard. He said that if he found another rare one, he'd give it to me, but he hasn't shown his face around much lately. He said he was a journalist and he is always investigating stuff, but I think something strange is going on with him. He's been shut in his apartment and I can hear all these weird noises coming from there. And then your usual creepy Silent Hill stuff. Okay. So we got some red paper. So you remember from last stream that there was indeed some red paper slipped under our door. So we're going to take that red paper, even though this stuff doesn't have anything on it. We're just going to have a look around here. So we've got, yeah, super. I'll take his key. And you'll notice we've got some bad noises happening now. Teaching Despair, Wish House. Wish House, an orphanage on the outskirts of Silent Hill. But behind its false image is a place where children are kidnapped and brainwashed, as we've it's already seen and alluded to with the water prison. Wish House is managed by the Silent Hill Smile Support Society, a charity organisation sometimes called 4S. It is true that 4S is a well-respected charity that takes in poor children without homes and raises them with hope. But at its heart, it is a heathen organisation that teaches its own warped dogma in lieu of good religious values. Mr. Smith, who lives near Wish House, had this to say. Sometimes at night I can hear their weird prayers and the sounds of children crying. I went there to complain one time, but they ran me right out. Since then it hasn't changed a bit. In fact, this reporter was refused admission when he attempted to take photographs in the facility. What exactly do the folks at Wish House have to hide? During my investigations, I was able to discover, however, a suspicious-looking round concrete tower, which appears to be part of their facilities. Unfortunately, no one was willing to tell us what the tower was used for. It seems unlikely that it has anything to do with the business of raising orphans. It may in fact be a prison, secret place of worship. The cult religion that operates Wish House is known by the locals simply as the Order. It's a religion that is deeply interwoven with Silent Hill's the elite chosen people has a dark and dangerous side. I intend to continue my investigation of Wish House and the cult behind it. I've always believed that telling the whole truth and showing the children the true path is our most important duty. Joseph Scriber. So Joseph is the guy who lived in our apartment before us. I'll take this key as well. Okay. So there's an enemy out here now. You see there's another ghost. What we're going to do. So you'll see that the rusty axe really is very, very good at its job. So basically we can just get more there from there. Okay. We're going to switch from slightly annoying to very annoying with the squelching noise. So we have this. So he's knocking on our door, calling for his mother. So we're going to slip that underneath. Okay. What was that guy doing here? Could he be the next victim? Or could it be? So that's Eileen's room. And this door is going to be locked. We'll sit here and listen to this really friendly looking fellow.
I got this from Miss Galvin. A long, long time ago.
So he knows Eileen?
She was younger than me back then. She looked so happy, holding her mother's hand. Here. I'll give it to you.
Now, since we're playing on PC, I'm going to take it. So we'll leave this guy to whatever he's up to. So we're gonna beeline straight for what we need to do next, because there's no point lingering. We're gonna have to do a lot of exploring in a minute anyway, so that kind of constitutes lingering. So the plot sort of is thickening a bit. We've got this strange guy. We got this weird kid. And I think I might have inadvertently spoiled it a little bit before, but yeah. So there's this box, really stinks. So we're not going to touch that. We're not going to touch that. Okay. It's a diary. The red box seems even stranger today. It's giving off a terrible smell. It's disgusting, but I just can't throw it away. It must have been around 30 years ago. That young couple was living in the apartment, but one day they just suddenly disappeared. Ran off just like thieves in the night. I don't know why. It must have been money troubles, or maybe they got themselves into some kind of danger. The problem came after that. They left their newborn baby when they took off. I even found the umbilical cord. I called the ambulance right away and I heard the baby survived, but I don't know what happened to him. Although a few years later, I often saw a young kid hanging around the apartment. One day, he just stopped coming by. Now that I think of it, I'll bet he was that abandoned baby. It's a horrible story. Abandoning a newborn baby. That all happened in room 302. And the umbilical cord I found there, well, I still can't get myself to throw it away. So in that box, we have, rather disgustingly, there's an umbilical cord of someone else's child that he has kept on his shelf this whole time. So there's something really weird going on with the superintendent. He does not seem like a regular, like he's got it all together, you know. But we're gonna do just a couple of things here. Open the locker key. We see a lot of letters. I love you, Rachel, from Mike, so from the guy that we read the note from just before. So it's a bit creepy. So we're going to go back in the hole and we're going to drop some stuff off. So yeah, you really start to get a bit tired of the transitions, but it's okay. Something that's not a good noise. I can hear something going on. We're going to have a look in here now, and we're going to see that once again the apartment has changed in this very subtle and very horrible way. Well, I say subtle. What the hell is this? The dry splayed blood all over the place. So it's just this creeping sense of dread that the apartment where before it was a place where you could be totally safe is now no longer that place. So we're going to read a couple of these now. It was 4 years ago that they discovered the body with 12 out of 21 carved into it. Right away I had this terrible feeling and couldn't stop shaking. The victim had been murdered 6 months earlier, but Walter had been dead for 7 years, having committed suicide 3 years before the murder. The police think it's a copycat crime and are calling it the Sullivan case round 2, but something about it bothered me. May 14th. Look in this one again. There's red paper stuck in here. I figured out the riddle behind the numbers. 01121 is actually 01 out of 21. In other words, 1 out of 21. So Walter was planning on killing 21 people, but he never finished the job. He was convicted for the murders of Billy and Miriam Locane, the 7th and 8th victims. Afterwards, he committed suicide in his jail cell. The grisly mass murder of 10 people shocked the world and came to be known as the Walter Sullivan case. There are 2 big puzzles here. The first is, what was the motive for the murders? The second is, why did he kill himself before completing his task? Was he simply insane? So those murders that were talked about there, the Locaine murders, those are talked about much earlier in Silent Hill 2, and they sort of for this game they re-envisioned them a bit to sort of fit the new narrative that they had constructed. So let's put the doll back. We'll hang on to the rest of that stuff, and then we're going to have to run back upstairs and slip some of these papers where they need to go. So the sounds are starting to get a bit more aggressive. And this is because this is probably the hardest world yet. There's a lot of ghosts that we're going to have to contend with here. And they're going to be some dangerous enemies because unlike all the other enemy types in this game, they can travel from room to room with you. And that's going to make fending them off quite hard, especially when we only have this one sword to pin them down with. And the really cool thing about Apartment World is that there's a lot of these weird little stories that you can uncover that you don't even really need to uncover. They're just sort of there, and it's really cool that Team Silent went through the effort to sort of give the apartment and its inhabitants sort of this really living feeling. You know, they didn't have to do that. They could have just sort of populated them with all the same generic rusted environments, but they decided not to do that, which is really, really cool. So we're going to go slip a couple of these notes under the door again, simply because you don't need to hold on to them, and we're going to need to read them later. Okay, so now the big sort of apartment search begins. So we're going to go from apartment to apartment in this other world, and we're going to try and collect everything valuable from this world because, as I said a bit earlier in the stream, I neglected to collect a few cool items earlier on, so we're going to try and make sure we don't miss anything super crucial. So we'll just start the sweep, and I feel a bit bad if I do miss anything, simply because I'm not very good with the layout of this level. So we've got a tape here, so we'll take the tape, which is it's a cool little detail. Again, building these stories that sort of have no real relevance to the actual story of the game, but has a lot of relevance to the story of these people's lives, and just sort of building up the apartment as a real place where real people live, and that adds a lot to the atmosphere and to the feeling that you really are sort of isolated and alone. You're poking around through these people's belongings, through their lives, and through these sort of big incidents in their life, and you have no way of actually interacting with them. This is the dog hallway. I don't like the dog hallway, so I'm going to go in here. And I think there may also be a dog in here. Dog or two. So you can see it's just, little details. They must have had children in this apartment. Okay. So we're going to try out this heavy axe attack. And you'll see it's incredibly effective. So we're just going to get rid of that dog there. And you can hear another one moving around. So we're going to get rid of that one too. And it's stuck in some of the level. Get rid of that. Don't think there's actually nothing in here. So it was a waste of time anyway, but at least I didn't get hit or anything, so that's good. This should be locked. Yep. Okay, so these ones though, they're going to be hard to move around, but I'm going to try. Just move slowly and sort of keep a wide berth. And it's really cool. Sorry, I can't stop going on about that AI, but I really, really do love that AI, that they are sort of able to be missed. And here we're running into this guy again. And if you remember in the last stream, there was a child looking out that window instead, not caring for the man, Richard, who was being electrocuted in that very chair. So we're in his apartment now, and you can see that things have not been left in a good state. So we're going to try and say hi to Okay, well, we're not gonna say hi to him. That's a bit rude. We're gonna take Richard's revolver. So this is the second of two guns in this game. So it's a fairly large departure from just a lot of survival horror titles in general, especially in this classic style of this era. Um, that there is only the one or the two guns, and both of them are handguns. So Richard's revolver is really powerful, but the bullets, there's hardly any bullets in the whole game. So I'm going to save that for later, when the game does get even a bit harder than it is currently. Okay, so we've explored that whole side, and we're going to go over to this side now. I'm just going to take it slow because there are going to be some enemies in here, and there are going to be some annoying enemies in some of these apartments. So we're just gonna look around, make sure that we get everything that we need to. But I don't think there's anything in this one either, so I'm gonna leave that one too. Okay. The problem is, so there's a ghost. So we're just gonna try and ignore him, but we're gonna have to start doing a bit of running around because yep, you're gonna see he's gonna start following us into these rooms, and it's gonna get a bit annoying. So we've just got this sort of disturbing imagery in here, and we're gonna try and get rid of him with it. Oh, I missed. The axe itself is a really powerful weapon, but you'll see that the ghost attack animation is a bit weird. You'd expect it to be taking health off you that whole time. We're just going to try and hopefully that keeps him down just for a second, and we're going to take this paper out of the pocket here, and you'll sort of see that it really is important. Well, in all survival horror games, if you've ever played one of these classic survival horror games, they have some sort of structural similarities, I guess, to like 90s sort of adventure games. So you're always looking for these items that you need to progress the story. So it's a bit of a key hunt, really, which is, it's sort of, some people don't like it, but I really like the fact that you're forced to sort of linger in these environments that you don't really want to linger in. It sort of adds to this feeling of unease. And this room here, this is another great example of this sort of storytelling that Team Silent are able to pull off. So you can sort of read about who lives in each of the rooms. So I think this is the painting of a woman holding a cat. So 102. So we're going to need to remember the room number 102. She loves cats too much and missed her chance to get married. I kind of felt sorry for her while she was mourning one of her dead cats. So obviously we've got a painter in here who loves to paint all the people in the apartment, in their apartment block, which is really cool. I'll just make sure again that we're not missing anything in here. No. So this is just the painter's apartment, and it just gives us 102, which I'll need to remember because I'm terrible at remembering that when I play it ordinarily. So we're gonna go through here. This is going to be annoying in here, I think, because we got flies and ghosts, but there might be something in here, so we just have to check. I don't know, nothing in here, so I think I might have just cornered myself for like nothing. So we're going to try and get unstuck, or we would. Okay, well that works, doesn't it? But Henry he's really a bit fussy about who he targets. If you're fighting more than one enemy, it can be a bit of a struggle. So I think that's all of the second floor searched. So we're going to go down to the first floor now, and we're going to search that too. Okay. So the sound design, as in all Silent Hills, really is, it's just so important. The apartment itself, you can hear it sort of breathing. It's really eerie. We got more dogs in here, and yep, I ran for a split second, and that really annoyed him. So I'm going to have to finish him off. And you'll see that again, Henry's the axe really is the most invaluable tool because it does a lot of damage, and the power attack also lets him take those crucial few steps forwards to close the gap. So we can hear some weird noises coming from in here. And again, we're just going to check and make sure that we aren't missing anything in here, because resources are about to become pretty crucial soon. So I just want to make sure I'm stocking myself up for a little bit later in the playthrough. Again, when things get a bit more difficult. And it really is this yeah, it's just this sort of continued feeling of repetition and dread. It sort of makes up the rhythm of typical Silent Hill games. So you're checking all these doors, and part of you is just sort of quietly hoping that, oh, this door, I hope it doesn't open, because who knows what's going to be on the other side. And a huge part of that feeling is because of the sound design. You're just hoping that the door remains shut, so you don't have to explore whatever's inside. I think I may have annoyed that one too. Yes, I have. So we're just going to charge up our attack. I'm not really a fan, to be honest, of this game's sort of emphasis on the charge attacks. You notice that every enemy I step on, same sound effect. So sound effect is hit or miss in this game, but in the other, especially the previous three, the sound design is really strong. It's one of the reasons I can sort of keep coming back to this and still be a bit creeped out every time, even if I've played it, like 10, 20 times, So again, nothing in this room. I just wasted a bunch of time stomping on leeches. It's ruining Henry's shoes, and it's not like he can go out and get more. Though his shirt is remarkably clean. You think after the first time you entered into this nightmare realm, you might elect to put on not a white shirt, just for appearance's sake. So we're going to take some bullets, and you'll notice, oh look, there's a gun. It's a model gun. It's useless. I remember being so excited when I entered this room for the first time, and I was looking. I was like, oh, yes, we actually get a shotgun, or we get a rifle or something like you do in the other Silent Hill titles. But no, these are all model guns, and I suspect Team Silent, whoever came up with that idea, had a lot of fun. Stupid cat next door made my algae go crazy. I was so pissed off, I took my converted model gun and blasted away at the thing at point blank range. It was way cool. The thing just dropped like a stone. By the way, that revolver that Richard in 207 carries, it's the real thing. That guy's dangerous. So whoever lives in this apartment is a real jerk. But you still kind of wish that you could have grabbed one of their guns. But yep, there's nothing else actually in here apart from those 10 bullets. So that's this wing cleared out, I think. So yep, we just got one more little hallway to search, and I think there's going to be one of the more annoying ghosts is going to show up there. He's the one with the trowel. He has a lot of health, and he does, I think, more damage than other ghosts. So that's quite frustrating. But one thing that's kind of interesting, I think that I read a good little point that I read about this game is that Henry is just sort of trapped when he's alive. Like, he can only move through these strange areas, but if the ghosts, they can move through walls. I'm not going to call the phone because that's going to be really annoying. So this is Rachel's apartment, but the ghosts can move freely. So basically, it's sort of the game's quiet way of saying, oh, death is this kind of release for Henry, because he really is just trapped in the apartment. And the other really cool thing is you can't really tell. It becomes really hard to tell what's real and what's not. Really hard. I think I must have missed. I should have searched 102 a bit more thoroughly, but we're going to check in here and see if there's anything else. Yep, I'm going to have to run back. I'm going to have to run back to 102. Okay. But yeah, it's just this really, really cool sort of meta existence that Henry is basically living. Whether he's sort of in this, like, is what he's experiencing now real? Is him waking up in the apartment? Is that even real? There's sort of this really weird feedback loop. There we go. So we can open the fridge now. I didn't check quite close enough. I must have been in the wrong spot when I pressed space. So yeah, wrapped up in these torn bloody jeans. This is pretty horrible. It's the body of the dead cat. There's torn red paper in one of the pockets. So we're going to reach in and we're going to take the paper. So that fills our inventory up. And now we're going to travel up, slip those under our door, and basically be done with Apartment World now. So the ghost, interestingly, the ghost that I remember showing up when I last played it, the ghost with the trowel, that didn't appear. I do have to wonder about that, because I certainly didn't pin him with one of the swords, which is what you do with the swords. You're expected to knock the ghost down and then pin it to the floor, so it can't move and it can't reappear in any of the future levels. So you can hear Eileen struggling to get out. So obviously something really bad is happening, so we're going to have to try and move a bit quicker. I say that as I delicately put each paper individually under the door. And then there should be a hole in here, I think, that we can just run back through. And then we got you in here, that's okay. I think you're the least dangerous of the ghosts. So we'll slip through here. Okay, here we are once again in the room. So if we're looking just to dump some of these extra items in here. So we don't need the revolver and we don't need all these extra bullets. So I'm hoping to save all of these things for later. We'll give the tape a listen in a minute. But first we've got a lot of reading to do. So it's really hard to read this one. Rachel, love you, always watching window, protect you with love, Mike. So Mike is pretty creepy. We've established that by now. I picked up the key that Eileen dropped from room 303, that Eileen from room 303 must have dropped. I thought I'd return it, but she wasn't home. I guess I'll give it to the super, May 20. So that's really, really important, and we're going to do something with that in just a second. Oh yeah, I had a really wicked headache that day and just collapsed on the bed. Maybe if I look near the bed in my room 302's bedroom, I'll find it. I get headaches every day now. It's terrible. What am I going to do? There's a torn red paper stuck in here as well. I lost the key to Eileen Galvin's room. Find it, bring it back. So I've read these in sort of reverse order. Should have been reading them from right to left, but that's okay. So we're just gonna flick on the radio, see if there's any
And
news.
now the news. Yesterday, Wally the walrus, a longtime resident of the Springfield Zoo, gave birth to a healthy baby walrus pup named Buttercup. Mother and child are doing just fine.
So there's this really, you'll notice it's just this really dissonant sort of serenity. You get glimpses, again, like you get glimpses of other people's lives. You get glimpses that there are still people living and acting normally outside. But really, you know, you're trapped in here and there's nothing you can do to get out. You know, you can just see people walking, you can see cars going. Life outside carries on, but you're trapped in here and there's bad stuff going on. And can't hear or see anything now from Eileen. That's a bad sign. So we'll just listen to the tape really quick. Oops. Or we would. Here we go.
How do you like that, you sick little freak? You had it coming to you. These clothes are disgusting. him out of my sight.
I know. It'll be perfect to wrap his body in.
Hold it.
You!
Hold it. I think
You
I'll keep
snooping
that
around
for
again?
myself.
Get your ass out of here
Hold
before
it.
you
Hold
really
it.
piss me off.
Hold it. Hold it. I think I'll keep that one for myself. Hold it. I think I'll keep that one for myself.
Now, it's really hard to determine what the heck is actually going on in there, which is part of what gives any and all Silent Hill audio its power, really. Is that it's really hard to tell exactly what is happening, but we can determine, I believe, that it's Richard Braintree, the guy who was electrocuted, doing the most of the talking, and he has beaten up Mike, the creepy guy, and taken his clothes off. Just basically humiliated him in front of the whole apartment block. And then he sees the kid snooping around and tries to scare him away. That's what that end bit was. If I see you around here again. Once again, just slip past here. Okay. So with this, we'll bring an end to the apartment section. And all we need to do is get to Eileen's room. Use the key. And you'll see, yep, something very, very bad indeed has just happened. So I'll let this play.
Hey, kid. Thanks. Did you find your mommy? This place? It's dangerous. You need to hurry. Get out of here.
So this time, once again, Henry was too late, and it sort of affects him the most personally this time, because I think he's had a bit of a crush on Eileen, which might explain the spying that you as the player can sort of get him to do, or that he can do through the events of the game. Okay, so we can once again, as usual, hear the sounds of disturbance, meaning that whatever we just experienced is sort of translated into what is theoretically the real world, though it is, as I said before, getting harder and harder for Henry to sort of distinguish between these two things, and it's getting very hard for the player to sort of make sense of where they are and exactly how this. Eileen's back 20 out of 21, so there was one victim left that is required to complete the ritual. So Eileen's gone off to hospital, and we're sort of left stranded. We're feeling pretty low right now, pretty bad, and we're just gonna pick. What's happened? I know we're still going. Cut out for a little second there, but that's okay. So there's a scrap of red paper. So we got a new talisman, which you're going to need, and a scrap of paper. I don't think I can protect myself. He's truly insane. I can't hold it any longer. His power can't be measured. I was so scared today that I sealed off the back of the storage room. I wonder if Eileen Galvin is okay. She has no idea what's going on, but she's in danger nevertheless. So Eileen definitely was put in danger and is now being rushed to hospital where she can hopefully recover. So we're going to need to pull out a few things here. So we can put this away. And we're going to pull out all of our placards. Cool. So yeah, I don't know why it says I was cut off just before, but there didn't seem to be any other noticeable hitch in the recording, so it's slightly strange. But what we're going to do, we're just going to use the talisman. So that's going to do that. First of all, though, I probably should have made a point a little bit more clear. So we're going to try go into the hole, turn to the next world, and the hole is sealed up. So the bathroom is now this weird sort of purgatory state where we would have once gone for the entire span of the game up until this point is now sort of irrelevant. So you'll see now that we have all of these placards that we picked up from the doors outside each of the first 4 victims, and they each sort of have a connection to the victim in some way. So temptation was sent here, I think. And that is not a good noise, but we're going to go in here and we're just going to do part of this one, and then we're going to finish the stream, simply because I have no idea why the internet is bugging out. So I do hope it's catching and recording still, both my voice and the gameplay footage. So we're once again going to wake up, and again still blurring the lines between what is real and what is not. Okay, so yes, good. Okay, so the stream is still working. That's what I like to see. And we're going to go back in here just immediately, and we're going to encounter this new enemy type who looks pretty creepy. But basically, everyone who plays this game has a huge complaint about them, and that's the noise that they make when they're hit, which is this big belching sound, which sounds completely just ineffective horror-wise. And they have a lot of health. I think they might have the most health out of any regular enemy, but I might be wrong, but they just seem to have a lot of health. And a little interesting, strange human-shaped object, a little interesting tidbit about the cutscene that was just on display. The character model of the woman that Walter was picking through is the same as Claudia Wolf in Silent Hill 3, which is just a cool little sort of asset reuse. But you could also make a claim that maybe it has some sort of story connection in some small way. You can make that claim. And it's a paper cutting knife. So I don't know why the paper cutting knife sort of is where it is in the game. It has a very quick power attack, but it doesn't do a huge amount of damage. If you've picked up the rusty axe and used it at all, you'll sort of know that it really is the most effective weapon, because even if it takes a while to charge up, you've still got a fairly quick swing that does a lot of damage and staggers the enemy back a wee bit. I lost Eileen Galvin's hospital room key, because of course you did. Everyone seems to lose Eileen's keys. She was a patient brought in with severe injuries. I wonder if I left it in one of the other hospital rooms. I really hope not. So once again, we know that we're gonna have to do this Silent Hill thing of checking all the doors and hoping that the ones that do open don't have anything creepy in them. So this is a little optional cutscene, so we're just gonna watch that. So yeah, Henry is really concerned for her, but he's not exactly the best talker, and he has acted a bit creepy. Although fair enough, in some ways, he has had no human contact for I think like a week. Still though, it's not to say that, yeah, you or the player should really be engaging in any peeping Tom business, because it's just creepy. Okay, nutrition drink. I don't think I've found a health pickup in ages, so that's good. We're actually going to start needing health pickups really soon, so hoping just to conserve those for as long as possible, because we're going to need to stretch them out at some point. If this playthrough ends up anything like some of my other playthroughs. Okay, so we found a handbag, looks like Eileen's handbag. I'll take that, and you'll notice our inventory is already really filling up. It's going to fill up again a bit faster here too. So another healing item, that's good. We are in a hospital, I suppose. Baby's medical chart. He's got nothing more to say about that. Once again, in here with these really creepy looking characters, but and something you may have noticed as well is that when you're using the power attack, it gives you these invincibility frames. So it's sort of, the nurses here do a lot of damage because they can attack really fast, but there's still, that those invulnerability frames, those invincibility frames, are just really crucial. Yeah, and you notice they're dead the moment Henry starts being able to walk through them instead of pushing them a little bit. So we'll just check and see if there's anything in here. I think there is a really good healing item. Yep, the ampule. So we're going to have to drop some of this stuff back pretty soon. Okay. So we'll go up here and we'll have a look. This is probably, yeah, one of the more famous bits of this game is this long hallway with the wheelchairs going up and down, and so you already see it's quite long. There's a lot of doors to check, but the really devious thing is, if you're looking to speedrun this game, these rooms are randomized every time, I believe, so that the randomness of this area can be pretty brutal if you don't get the rooms in the right place where you want them. Like last time I played this game, this room was on the left, and now it's on the right. And Henry, yeah, again, you'll notice Henry tracks the enemy with his attack there. Don't think I killed him, so I'm just going to go back in here. Oh no, I did. Yep, cool. Just wanted to check. I hate accidentally going back into the room and getting hit with enemies. Now, if you remember last stream, I talked about Henry's sort of voyeurism coming back to bite him in the ass. And this is the scene that really sort of punctuates that. This really creepy, suggestive moaning from Eileen. The breathing. And we're just going to move forward just a wee bit. It's going to switch to this really creepy. So the eyes as well, they track you. And it really is, he has nothing to say about it. There's no comments that he can make about it. But it's basically a reverse sort of, you've been peeping on people this entire game, and now it is your turn to be stared at and sort of aggressively judged. And that's exactly what it feels like. It feels really creepy. Really creepy. Oh, thanks. And we're gonna keep moving a little bit here. Yes, thanks for the follow. That means a lot. Glad you're enjoying it. So we got some dried up flowers. And we're going to get this candle here. Again, this candle, so there's some items in here that are going to start becoming just really, really useful in the immediate future. Oh. That's a good room. That one, that almost always gets me. Oh. And the wheelchairs are like ghosts. You can't kill them. Now, yes, I have just enough inventory space, so there's a key here. So the hospital room key, so we're going to move that. And then, of course, we're going to be trapped. But fortunately, the key opens the cage. I remember being stuck in my first playthrough for way too long. Sort of like, oh, how do I get out? And I'm like, oh, try the key. Of course. So again, just this really creepy imagery. It's just reinforced just again and again and again throughout the entire game. So we've got these sort of weird umbilical cords, but they look like they're sort of in this like greenhouse or something. So they've sort of come out of their little incubating areas and sort of spread to become vines. And you can really sort of see if you've played or watched PT, where a lot of those sorts of similar ideas sort of originated, playing on the same kinds of fears. And here we have probably one of my favorite visuals in the game. It's just creepy. Yeah. The less said about that, the better. It just deserves to sort of be there. Let it exist on its own. And you've got these really sort of surreal, like, why is it raining indoors? What are these weird creatures coming out of the? I don't actually think there's anything in here, is there? Oh, there might be something in the wet from rain. No, nothing in here, so we can leave this one. Yes, I can't hold it anymore, of course. So I'm going to have to run back to the room. What I hope is all the way back down here. Oh, wrong one. We'll leave them to whatever they were doing. They're fine. So we'll go down and around here. Awesome. And I believe the hole is in this room. Yes, it is. So we're just going to need to go back and we're going to start dropping some stuff off because we're already really sort of overburdened. Definitely don't need the box cutter, that's for sure. And that candle, while it will be really, really important later, we're not going to need that right now, so we can put that away too. And I'm just gonna savor this healing because, as I said, we're going to need to rely on the healing items a bit more very soon. Okay. So I'm going to keep holding on to that. We're going to put that away, that away as well, and the box cutter. So that frees up half our inventory, so that's really good. And I might as well save it really quick here, just in case something really bad happens to it. So we're going to traipse back. Again, we can't go through the bathroom because that's locked up. So we'll just let these last few sort of bits of healing complete, and then we're going to go back into the hole. What I've always liked about Silent Hill is that it plays with sort of physical space in a really effective way, and the hole is a really just sort of, I guess, truncated way of doing that. A lot of the other games sort of try slightly sort of longer-winded things, but Silent Hill 4 is just sort of straight up sort of pushing the character to go into these spaces. There's no, I guess it's tricky because I was just about to compare it to Silent Hill Origins in that you're the one who sort of elects to go into these into the danger zone by touching the mirror in Silent Hill Origins. but I don't. The control is still out of Henry's hands. Really, he's being forced into this sort of claustrophobic world, and he can only leave through the holes, and even the other side isn't really safe. So while Silent Hill Origins sort of tries the same sort of idea to make the player sort of push themselves into the danger area, it doesn't really come out working so well. Almost just because, yeah, Origins by that point was pretty generic. It sort of felt like it was treading water a bit, the series, by that point. You can see why Team Silent, sort of a lot of members, the original members of Team Silent by Silent Hill 4, were not working on this game. You can sort of see why. You don't want to work on the same thing forever, and new ideas for the same series are hard to come up with. Oh, these wheelchairs, just gotta look out for them. They're not as annoying as some of the other enemy types, like the Wall Man. But you just gotta watch out because they do turn around a lot. I was hoping to, yep, there's this glue room, so Henry just moves really slowly. Kind of fun. Take pistol bullets. Serves no other purpose but to slow you down and just maybe creep you out a little bit. Just wasn't. Yeah. Okay. So in here, I can't hold anymore. Now the question is, I don't know if I need the 10 bullets. Maybe I'll come back, and I think I'll just leave those two chaps alone. I'm hoping I can get the wheelchairs doing their special. They have like this special animation they do, the special thing that they do that again the developers didn't really need to add in, but that just makes the game quite cool. So we're just gonna wait and see if they do it. They might not. No, they don't seem to want to do it. No, sometimes they go in and out of the rooms, sort of like, and then sort of come at you in waves, like Gallagher, I think it is. Now I can go back and pick up those 10 bullets, so we'll do that in a second. We'll just see Eileen here and see if she's okay. Quote unquote okay.
Eileen, relax!
And the music that comes in here, usual Akira Yamaoka genius.
Henry? From next door. What are you doing here?
I don't know where to start. There was this strange hole in my room. I saw people getting killed. All these weird other worlds. And I saw you get attacked too.
What are you talking about? I'm supposed to believe that?
But it's true. And there was a kid with you.
Boy protected me from the man with the coat. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I guess there's something wrong with me. I just feel so scared. This place. Where is it anyway?
I don't know either. But I do know that if you get killed here, then you die in the real world too. Anyway, the only way out of here is through that hole.
Okay. Okay, take me with you.
Okay, so now begins the part of the game that people really hate. There's a lot of struggle for people with this part of the game, simply because now you have to escort Eileen, and Eileen is not the best companion. So you can equip her with a weapon like a handbag, but you'll notice that the weapon still takes up a slot in your inventory, even though she's clearly holding it, which is already a bit annoying. But while holding a weapon, Eileen will become slightly suicidal. When she's not holding a weapon, she will behave mostly like Ashley from Resident Evil 4, who's an AI companion member I actually like. I know a lot of people don't, but I think she was done really well. She always knows where to go. But Eileen, if she gets into a fight, she finds it really hard to back down while she has a weapon. Oops. So I'm just going to run back up and get those bullets, just because who knows, you might need them. Okay, they were in here. Yes, they were. Cool. And you'll notice as well that when you're too far away from Eileen, she actually does not go into a room with you, so you can see the red is Eileen. So leaving her alone for too long is detrimental to her health. So we're going to try and stick with her as much as possible. You'll notice that yes, she insists on wearing the high heels. I get that she's got her arm broken. She's been brutally beaten, but maybe the high heels, aren't the best thing to run around in. Maybe Henry could offer to change shoes. I think that would be funny. Yeah, and she's also gets tired a bit quicker than Henry too. Again, that's fair considering the circumstances. Cool. And she seems to have a cold of some kind. Cool. So that's all we need to do in here. I'm just going to go down the stairs. And just keep looking out for these. I think they're called patients in this game, though they are basically this game's nurse-type enemy, which Silent Hill seems particularly famous for. So yeah. That noise kills any fear that you could possibly feel from these guys. So you'll see, yeah, Eileen's gonna try and attack as well, and she gets up really close, which obviously she has to. But she's quite insistent on attacking, and it might not seem so bad now, but in later levels, especially with ghosts who you can't actually kill, it becomes a real detriment. So we're gonna go back through here. I'm gonna try and get Eileen out of here. We can just hang out and watch some haunted television together. Okay. I'll wake up again in our bed. Again, we feel like we're going deeper and deeper and deeper with every time we wake up in this bed. We're never quite sure what's real, what's not. It's really clever. I know I harp on about it, but I really like it. And I guess part of the reason as well, now that comes to mind, the reason that Silent Hill Origins is sort of attempt to do the same, to force the player to sort of confront their fears by transitioning into the other world, doesn't work, is because it doubles. It's not taking you into a new play space like Silent Hill 4 is. It's doubling the active play space. So you got all the same rooms. Now you have to try all the doors again, and by that point, it's not really scary. It's just sort of you're sort of like, oh, now I have to go check all 3 floors. The sanitarium is a big pain in Silent Hill Origins. That's not a good sound. It's not a good sound. But yeah, it's just so. Silent Hill 4 just does it better in a number of different ways. Not least of all that it feels fresh. And yes, so we now no longer have a working fan. So we sort of already The room is so oppressive. So the room is sort of starting to turn now. So I'm going to save again here. And I think, yep, we've got a new little thing here. And of course, yep, can't hold anymore. Yep, we're going to drop off some of these items. So again, we do not need all the bullets. We're going to save them for later because we're probably really going to need them later, or at least I'm really going to need them. Because who knows, I might turn out to suck at some of the later encounters with the ghosts. Because yeah, no matter how many times I play this game through, I do find it still a bit difficult to get to grips with. So it's a red envelope, there's a letter, and a small key inside. You've seen that world as well, that horrible nightmare. But if you get sucked into it, it's not just a nightmare. Don't get lost in there. If you get pulled in, you'll be killed. But there's still hope. Maybe the small key will guide you. If you've seen the door with the placard set in it, look on the other side of the door and keep going down to the deepest part of him and look for the ultimate truth. So Joseph. So yep, he was the guy who lived in the apartment before us. So we got the key now. I'm going to go back and we're going to finish... Hospital World. And yeah, I think finish Hospital World and then possibly finish the stream. I'll let this play as well.
Henry.
Have you been here the whole time?
Yeah? And I didn't see any hole either. You just disappeared all of a sudden. I can't stay here by myself. I'll be cursed. I know it. What am I gonna do?
My favorite song from the game.
Might know a way to save you. Do you know about someone named Joseph?
Yeah. He was the guy who lived in your apartment before you. I think he was a journalist or something. He disappeared about 6 months before you moved in. But toward the end, he started acting really weird.
Yeah. He was doing an investigation about a religious cult and a man named Walter Sullivan. I got this letter from him. He told me to go down into the deepest part of him, and to look for the ultimate truth. Let's do that. There must be something down there.
Okay. I'll do it. You're the only chance I've got. I'll stick with you.
Okay. So we're going to keep going here. And we've already opened the way. So we're going to go just through this sort of elevator access shaft and cross these dead bodies, and we're going to enter into the funniest. Any fear that you might be feeling completely evaporates at this section. So we're going to go down. You'll see we've got 3 patient enemies, and we're on this big staircase. So you remember the noise that they make, but they can fall down the stairs if they land in the right spot, so we're going to try and get that to happen. And you'll see Eileen is attacking herself. And yep, there's Eileen's sort of more suicidal tendencies coming into play. Or maybe mine, I don't know. It's not looking good for me, actually. And there we go. They just collapse. They fly down the stairs in this incredibly stilted fashion. I have no idea who thought that was a good idea. But there is no fear. There is no fear. And watch, now that we've got them sorted out a bit, I can just let them slowly keep coming back up, and I can charge my attack up all the way. So So Eileen, yeah, there we go. Eileen's gonna get into combat here, and she's with that handbag. She's not very she's not very powerful at all. Oh yeah. Cool. So just try and eliminate them quickly now. Not quick enough. Not quick enough. This enemy's still alive. Cool. So yep, no fear, zero fear. I'm just going to finish them off because yeah, they have way too much health. Cool. So that's that encounter done. But you'll notice that took a lot more out of me than I was really hoping to. So I'm going to have to waste a healing item already ever downward. Which is really not what I wanted to do at this stage of the playthrough, but that's okay. So now we enter into this weird liminal space. The space that should not exist, but does, and it's got the more traditional elements of previous Silent Hill other worlds. The fog, the very dense fog, these weird, obtuse structures, decaying architecture, and just in general, this sort of sense of dread. Unfortunately, what it adds is that terrible, terrible squishy noise as you walk down the stairs. So we're gonna go, we're gonna go back to the apartment, and I might have time to play a little bit of the next world, which I think I'll do. But I'll be back streaming this again tomorrow, so we can continue from there pretty immediately. And you'll notice, so where once the room would have healed you, it is now no longer healing you, and this is where the game really gets difficult. And some bad things are going to start to happen. So you'll see that the clock is freaking out, and if we get too close, getting a very bad feeling, and if you get too close, it's going to give you the same ghost effect. And now this is what elevates the game from good to great, at least in terms of the scare factor, because you've been inhabiting this room the whole game, and all of a sudden it's started to turn against you in this very, very sinister way, where mundane objects are going to become sort of cursed and possessed and evil. So this is where the holy candle comes in, and I'm going to grab these drinks. Just, I think 2 drinks should sort me out. Yeah, so I really didn't want to have to use those there, but that's okay. And the holy candle basically dispels these creepy goings on. So I'm gonna put the candle down and just sort of stay away from it and watch the candle. Make sure the candle melts, and you have to place it in the right area. Otherwise, the haunting will not dispel, and you have just wasted a candle. But the haunting is now gone, and for now at least, you're a bit safer. Okay. How long has it been since I left this room? I can't tell if it's been days or hours. But during that time, they found the body of 1421. I've been having hallucinations lately. I think I'm losing my mind. Okay. Walter Sullivan did kill himself. He died in his prison cell of blood loss after he stabbed himself in the neck with a spoon. His body was buried in a cemetery just outside his hometown of Silent Hill in an unmarked grave. After that, his name became famous all over the world, and it looked like his string of mass murders was finished at 10 out of 21. But 3 years later, they found a corpse that had 12 out of 21 carved into it. The corpse was from 6 months earlier. In other words, the person was killed 2.5 years after Walter Sullivan committed suicide. The MO was exactly the same as Sullivan's, except for one thing. All 10 of Sullivan's victims were found with their hearts cut out and their chest wounds sewn together expertly with thread. On the other hand, the 12 out of 21 victims still had their heart. Naturally, the police think it's a copycat and are proceeding on that basis. But they haven't made any progress and recently discovered victim number 13. This corpse also had their heart intact. The police still haven't even identified a suspect. I've got a working hypothesis. Very few people knew the details of the original crimes and would be able to copy Sullivan's MO so precisely. First, I'll head to Silent Hill, to the graveyard near that beautiful little lake. Maybe I'll find the answer there. June 11th. I'm going to read this last one. The weather that day was very strange. Even though I avoided the earlier storm, there was still a thick fog clinging to everything. Fortunately, that allowed me to avoid being seen and get right to work. The police are still stubbornly acting as if it's just a copycat case, so I figured things probably hadn't been touched here. But I was wrong. I should have come sooner. The cemetery was in such bad condition that it was almost sad. The storm must have raised the sea level. Anyway, that's how it was when I found Walter Sullivan's grave. This diary is pretty damaged around this point. I can't read anymore. I'm still in shock. There was nobody in the grave. And on top of that, written on the coffin were the numbers 11 out of 21. June 14th. Now that's probably my favorite little plot twist in the game. Especially it was when the first time I played it. Is that Walter himself was the 11th victim. So the ritual is still, well, obviously to us, is still continuing. But it's just this really, really cool plot detail. So the writers of this game had obviously thought out the plot very, very carefully, laying all of these breadcrumbs, and then you sort of get that big payoff there, where it's very clear that even his suicide is feeding in to his plans. One other thing I did want to mention, I picked up earlier this shabby doll, and the shabby doll in the PlayStation 2 version is an item you, or I think, or the Xbox version is an item you don't want to pick up. But unfortunately, in the PC version, several of the hauntings, the scarier hauntings, in my opinion, exist in the game files, but don't exist in a way that you can access them. I have no idea why this is, why they're sort of patched out, but you have to modify the game's executable file to actually get it working, to get them working. So people have discovered them in the game files, but there's no way to sort of mod the PC version just to link up the hauntings that should be playing. Like, there's no reason they shouldn't play, but unfortunately some of the scarier hauntings are actually, for this reason, exclusive to the PlayStation 2 version, which is definitely the superior version. So obviously I'm playing on the PC version, so we won't get the shabby doll haunting, which is one that's actually really creepy, really effective, and kind of screws you over a bit. But I took it just sort of to make the point that the PC version is not the way to play it. If there is a PlayStation 2 copy that you can play, you should probably play that instead. So now we're in this, again, continuing through this liminal space. I'll be going for about another 15 or so minutes. And yep, there's another candle, so that's good. We definitely needed that after we already used one. It's just sort of, yeah, this sort of engine room or something. Sort of behind the scenes almost. Everything, it's getting everything working. So just unlock, sorry Eileen, just unlock that door. So I'm going to go through here. And if you've played the game before, if you've watched the previous stream or anything, you might recognize this area as Subway World, and I hate Subway World, but now Subway World has become even worse because it's populated with a lot more enemies, and you have to protect Eileen, and there is this really dangerous new enemy that has been added in, but we're going to try and do our best to clear out some of these areas just to make it easier for my next stream. So these are the gum heads, and they're basically pretty obvious symbolism, representative of how the serial killer thinks of basically the human race in general. Just sort of these uncultured apes, making loud noises and being rude. So we'll get rid of them. Because just in case we do have to come back through here.
I wonder if Joseph is still alive. Wait.
Yeah, that's all right, Eileen. Not going anywhere. Come on, Eileen. So we're gonna go through here. Now this is the corridor in which we escorted Cynthia before she had to run off into the bathroom here. So we're just gonna search the bathrooms and see if there's anything in here. I think, yeah, just leeches. Just leeches. Which is lovely. So we're gonna leave that. We're gonna check the other bathroom as well, because at this stage in the game, resource management becomes again a bit more of a priority than it did in the first half of the game. Sort of, especially with the limited inventory space, it's still a decision I think a lot of people, especially a lot of Silent Hill fans, sort of have trouble getting to grips with, because it's still kind of weird, especially how the inventory system works, and that you can't stack bullets and you can't stack like health drinks and that sort of thing. And yeah, so here we go. Here's the new enemy being introduced. What I'm hoping to do is eliminate them straight away. But we'll see what happens. So the reversed and distorted crying is really creepy, and obviously the character is sort of based on The Ring. But this is, just in case you hadn't figured it out, this is Cynthia. So the first thing we're going to try and do is just really quickly eliminate her from the game, because she is one of the more dangerous ghosts, and she's going to show up again and again and again. Then maybe she just ran away. Oh no. So she's got this really, really freaking creepy slither, and she does still do that ghost area of effect damage. So we're going to try and take her out here, just because she's really, really frustrating enemy to fight. Really hoping. Nope, still not good enough. So she's got a lot of health, so basically this is the last thing I want to get done. And she does a lot of damage too. And that's why equipping Eileen with the weapon is good, because Eileen really can actually help you out there. She hasn't yet used... I'm hoping that was it. Nope. One more try, and then I'll move on. Oh. Yep, Eileen not being super helpful there with that one. And the ghost hitbox continues to frustrate and annoy me. So I think it might just be best. So we'll try one more time, just to pin. No, it's not going to work. So we're just going to try and... Oh, whoops. Yeah, that's probably a good place to end it, actually. So we'll need to go back through the hole anyway and recover an item from much earlier in the game. And of course, since the Silent Hill loves combat so much, it's going to add new enemies into play. So thanks to the fact I wasted a lot of health again, I'm going to have to be pretty careful next time I play, just as to what encounters they pick. And especially got to watch what Eileen's doing, because it's very easy for her to get dragged into a fight that she does not want to leave. So we'll just fight our way past these leeches. When I say fight. Alright. So just Eileen's right there, yep. Cool. So we'll go back in here. We'll save. And I think that's a good place to end it. I'll upload the VOD to my YouTube channel later today, just so that if you miss the stream, if you miss parts of the stream, you can watch it back over. I'm mainly archiving them for my own personal, just so I can sort of chart the sound quality and how good the stream was, whether I was saying interesting things, that sort of thing. But I'm hoping you found that interesting, and I'll be back live again tomorrow. Don't go out.